And welcome back to beautiful Pacific Beach in San Diego, the U.S. National Lifeguard Championships. Jim Watson, Craig Hummer, and Lindsay Soto.
Thanks, Jim. You know, this is the fourth time this event has been held here in San Diego, and this man right here is a big part of the reason for that. You worked awfully hard to get it here. How excited are you that this is in San Diego?
Oh, this is a great competition to have. It gives the city of San Diego the opportunity to pit its lifeguards against the rest of the guards throughout the nation, using all their skills that are necessary to perform the important rescues to save lives. So we're really excited about it. It's good economics for the city. We have the greatest beaches in the world here in San Diego.
You did a little lifeguarding yourself back in the day. How would you have fared against some of these guys?
I would have done pretty well in the land line and also perhaps rowing the dory. Those are my events 25 years ago, so I would probably look good then. And of course my son now is a junior lifeguard, and so he's my proxy in these competition events.
All right, Councilman, thank you so much. We'll let you go enjoy the event, as will we. Back to you, Jim.
All right, Lindsay, thank you very much. A full slate, and we begin with the men's beach flags.
Well, Jim, what this is really is musical chairs on the sand. These competitors will run about 30 meters down the sand. You see Tim Green right there in the center of the screen winning his heat. We're taking a look at the preliminary action right down, but they will whittle their way down to the top 10 and, of course, work it all the way down to a national champion.
We started with a huge field, and some of these guys have been through, what, 10, 11 preliminary rounds? Start to get tired in the sand, don't you?
Well, absolutely. As you can see, they're doing a sprint straight off the bat, but as you get through these top rounds, you've got to make it a long distance event because you have to conserve your energy.
Out of gas, you're all sweaty, and you're eating sand just trying to advance to the finals. Here we are, our final four.
Latrell Smith in the red cap, he won it in 2000. Jeremy Simpkins in the yellow shorts next to him. And it looks like Dan Matta will knock out Jeremy Simpkins right there from LA County. Matta from Sussex County, and his partner in this, at least his partner in crime, so to speak, is right there, Tim Green, the defending national champion. So it's Green on the left, it's Latrell Smith in the middle, and Matta there tries to cut over, but it is Latrell Smith who will eliminate Dan Matta right there. You see the congratulations from Tim Green, and right now these are our final two.
Smith against Green.
Oh, Green goes down, and as Latrell Smith, he will be your national champion in San Diego.
Tim Green, the defending national champion, second. Latrell Smith, the new national champ. Tim Green and Dan Matta from Sussex County, Delaware. Jeremy Simpkins, LA County. Joey Miller, Laguna. But Smith from Volusia wins.
All right, with Latrell Smith, the now two-time national champion from Volusia County, Florida. Tell us what it's like to be the national champion. This is your second time around.
The first time was pretty sweet. You know, I trained really hard for it. The second time, you know what to expect, and it feels really good. I mean, I put so much work into this championship. You know, after winning it the first time and then coming back and finish 10th the following year, you know what everybody's gunning for you, so you know how much harder you need to work, and I wasn't willing to work that hard after my first championship, so this one's pretty sweet. This one's going up on the wall.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Latrell Smith. Now we move on to the women's final of the beach flag. Same elimination process, same deal all the way around.
Absolutely, Jim, and really what I forgot to point out during the men's competition is how critical the start is for each of these competitors. You see how they're facing the opposite direction that they will run. They have to do that spin move in that first step in a very fluid motion. These are your four finalists. You've got Rachel Ferrione there in the purple cap coming right down the center, and there in the green, that's Rachel McKenzie from Nassau. Those two starting early on from Capitola. That was Summer Sample, who was knocked out. That leaves three finalists. Ferrione, Emily Ward looks as though she will be eliminated right there. That is Emily Ward from Hampton. She will get the bronze. There you see Rachel McKenzie going up against Rachel Ferrione from Hampton, and this is for the national championship. Again, that fluid motion by Ferrione on the right in the purple cap, and easily wins her national championship.
Rachel Ferrione in the all-Rachel final beats Rachel McKenzie. Ferrione from Hampton, New York. McKenzie from Nassau in Florida. Here's your final standings. Emily Ward is third, Summer Sample is fourth, and Bryn McGuire from Hampton is fifth. Your final in the women's beach flags. We'll take a break, come back. The rescue board race next up from PB in San Diego. Against LA County, Joey Miller, Laguna, but Smith from Volusia wins it.
All right, with Latrell Smith, the now two-time national champion from Volusia County, Florida. Tell us what it's like to be the national champion. This is your second time around.
The first time was pretty sweet. You know, I trained really hard for it. The second time, you know what to expect, and it feels really good. I mean, I put so much work into this championship. You know, after winning it the first time and then coming back and finish 10th the following year, you know what everybody's gunning for you, so you know how much harder you need to work, and I wasn't willing to work that hard after my first championship, so this one's pretty sweet. This one's going up on the wall.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to Latrell Smith. Now we move on to the women's final of the beach flag. Same elimination process, same deal all the way around.
Absolutely, Jim, and really what I forgot to point out during the men's competition is how critical the start is for each of these competitors. You see how they're facing the opposite direction that they will run. They have to do that spin move and that first step in a very fluid motion. These are your four finalists. You've got Rachel Ferrione there in the purple cap coming right down the center, and there in the green, that's Rachel McKenzie from Nassau. Those two starting early on from Capitola. That was Summer Sample, who was knocked out. That leaves three finalists. Ferrione, Emily Ward looks as though she will be eliminated right there. That is Emily Ward from Hampton. She will get the bronze. There you see Rachel McKenzie going up against Rachel Ferrione from Hampton, and this is for the national championship. Again, that fluid motion by Ferrione on the right in the purple cap, and easily wins her national championship.
Rachel Ferrione in the all-Rachel final beats Rachel McKenzie. Ferrione from Hampton, New York. McKenzie from Nassau in Florida. Here's your final standings. Emily Ward is third, Summer Sample is fourth, and Bryn McGuire from Hampton is fifth. Your final in the women's beach flags. We'll take a break, come back. The rescue board race next up from PB in San Diego. Welcome back to San Diego, the 2002 U.S. National Lifeguard Championships on Fox Sports Net. Jim Watson, Craig Hummer, and Lindsay Soto. Move on to our next event, the Women's Rescue Board, as we head for the ocean, get some of that sand out of the suits.
Jim, also called a paddle board. You know, this is a main event throughout the world. 10.5 feet long these boards are. They weigh about 17 pounds. A great start right in the middle of your screen by Tandis Morgan from LA County, the light blue board. You see her already up on her knees. You'll see two different paddling styles. Knee paddling, which is harder on your back muscles and your lower back. The prone paddling or on your stomach, where it's not as tiring, but of course it's not as fast. You see Tandis Morgan still out in front, but I gotta think Amy Schwartz as well as Maggie Hogan are gonna make a move at this point, and that is Maggie Hogan up on her knees in third position right now. At this point though, it is Schwartz, Amy Schwartz from Del Rey, who has moved into the front. She is doing a fantastic job staying in front of Hogan. You see some of the rest of the field coming around that final buoy turn as they will come along that pier. Maggie Hogan out in front, but it is Schwartz who returns the favor. She's on a nice little runner coming in. This is where it gets interesting, Jim, because it's so shallow and you see them both jump off and they're able to run. So now what was once a paddleboard or a rescue race duel is now a running race trying to carry 20-pound boards. And who's it going to be between the two of them? It looks as though Amy Schwartz is going to be able to do it. The run off the beach, she will hold off Maggie Hogan for this rescue board championship.
Amy Schwartz wins the foot race up the beach. Maggie Hogan in control of that race, but got caught a little bit on the inside. There's your final standings. Amy Schwartz from Del Rey, Maggie Hogan from San Diego, Michelle Davidson Monmouth, and from Long Beach, Lindsay Hilgers. Now we move on to the men's rescue board race, and a couple of big names here.
Well, as you can see, we join it in progress. Anthony Vale on the left of your screen trying to win his first board title. Blaine Morgan on the white board there at the bottom of your screen. And that looks like Kyle Daniels, the defending national champion, in third behind them. But Vela with a great runner there. He's able to use the swell to propel him further along. Morgan answers these two guys in a seesaw battle. At this point, Anthony Vela able to dig so deep into those swells. And that looks as though it's going to be the difference. You see that right there. Vela thinks he has done it. The hand goes up, and from this shot you can see Vela will be the new national champion for the men in the rescue board race, and this means a lot to him. Here's a California guy who has never won a board race, and now he gets his first board title ever.
Anthony Vela, LA County, and right behind a race for second, Blaine Morgan, his teammate, LA County, trying to hold on, and he does for second place. So Vela and Morgan, both from LA County, go first and second. Sven Peltonen from South Jersey, Matt Nunnally, a name we'll hear later in this day, I'm sure, Monmouth, and Kyle Daniels also from LA County. Move ahead, the women's rescue race.
There they go.
Well, though we just saw the paddle boards in the water, now this is a pure lifeguard event, Jim. You see them running with their fins, those H2O Velocity fins being carried by one of the Monmouth competitors. Those are essential if you want to do well in one of these rescue races. The victims are already out at the flag, so these swimmers will now come up. Each victim is on a corresponding flag. You see now the handoff, that exchange. Once that takes place, the victim has to hold on with both hands as they return to shore. And it looks as though the team from San Diego at the bottom of your screen, that is Allison Terry and Mar Shearling, the local girls, showing that local knowledge definitely pays off, and they now will have to stand up. Remember, the rescuer has to take those fins off and begin running. Once they stand up, the victim can only have one hand, or is allowed to only have one hand across, and it looks as though that little stumble by Allison Terry will still be good. They win.
Mara Shearling and Allison Terry from San Diego beating their teammates Sheldon and Keach. Monmouth, LA County, San Diego combined, and Pauline Pippin, San Diego 5th.
Allison, you got off to a good start there. Tell us about the beginning.
Had a really good start. I felt strong. I was really motivated. After my surf swim, I was kind of disappointed, but I was going to go out there and get her. I just kind of pretended like she was a drowning victim, and went out there and did the best I could.
Tell us about the in there, Mari. You had a little trouble, but you pulled it out.
Well, San Diego waters can be dangerous, and there was a giant hole right there, and she knew it was coming, and she goes, "Watch out!" And I tried. I tripped, but you know, we made it to the finish line victorious, so it all worked out okay in the end.
It is victorious in the end for San Diego. You got to watch the hole in the water. A couple of athletes have already gone down. We'll move ahead now to the men's rescue side of things, and some names we just saw: Vela and Blaine Morgan from LA County.
There's Matt Nunnally waiting to be rescued by Andreas Rostenberg. Those two always up top in the standings, and it's Nunnally and Rostenberg very close to first. Morgan and Vela also in there. Blaine Morgan and Anthony Vela, your defending champions in this event. The men are sending a great place. They are together, but look at this. Vela up and running. Blaine Morgan there, the swimmer, carrying those H2O Velocity fins, and they look as though from their pace, they are out in front. But again, they have to negotiate those inshore holes. It'll be the team from LA County who will be your champions once again, defending their national title.
LA County, who has dominated this event for the past 15 years in LA County with an early victory. They are the favorites again to repeat as team champions. So Anthony Vela and Blaine Morgan win it from LA County. Andreas Rostenberg, Matt Nunnally from Monmouth are second. We'll take a break. We come back. We take the boats off the beach. We come back to Pacific Beach and the U.S. National Lifeguard Championship. Another reason why San Diego is called America's finest city, a view of the marina from the Sheraton Harbor Island, our host hotel. Next event, the Surfboats.
300 pounds of fiberglass, Jim, in the water, steered only by their 4 oars, and it is ever so exciting. But oh, look at that, the inshore hole wreaking havoc yet again. A great start by the H2O Velocity boat. That is Billy George in the bow or the front, and sitting in the stern, Warren Towns. They are known for their starts. They've won the national championship here in the Surfboat twice before, and then have perennially been placed in the top 5. Early on, they still are in front, followed very closely by the LA County team of Chris Murphy and Mike O'Donnell. Their boat, the B-52 white boat. And as a couple more of our competitors come around, a great shot there of how important it is to navigate around these buoys. You can't get too close to the buoy, otherwise your oars will get tied up. But at our first transition, it's the LA County team of O'Donnell and Murphy. Chris Murphy standing up in the back of the boat to try to keep it straight. The H2O Velocity team of Towns and George still out in front, but Chris Murphy, as you can see, a great transitional leg here, and this is one of the things that separates them from a lot of these crews out in this field. They are able to negotiate these transitions ever so well and ever so quickly. By the second transition, you see right there, Towns and George in your yellow H2O Velocity boat coming up on the LA County crew, and we will see if they can be matched here in the surf line. And sure enough, O'Donnell and Murphy have come in once again. You see Warren Towns able to sit on the back of the H2O Velocity boat. He tried to keep it as straight as possible, but again, Waddy, those oars are only about 4 inches wide. That's 16 inches total diameter trying to steer these boats.
Chris Murphy out of the boat, up the beach, touch that imaginary line, and go back out one more time. He will hit the water, try to avoid that inshore hole, and then relaunch the boat with Mike O'Donnell aboard in the bow.
O'Donnell desperately trying to get his boat out of this shallow water. That's why you'll see the stern man in that instance, Chris Murphy pushing the LA crew. You try to get in that deep water as fast as possible and clear the boats coming in. That's another hazard that, of course, they have to negotiate, not just the surf, but the boats coming in. Now, I'm surprised that the LA guys were able to get that big of a gap in that transition, but I said earlier, they are so strong at those transitions. Remember, this is a 3-lap race. They're on their 3rd lap right now, and with this gap for the LA crew, at this point, it's pretty safe to say that they might be going on to a national championship. It'll be Mike O'Donnell's 2nd, and it'll be Chris Murphy's 1st if they hold on, and it looks as though they will. Murphy now going to move to the back of the boat yet again, going to try to surf it in just that little bit. Mike O'Donnell will probably go right oar, which he does, yep, right there to try to right the boat a little bit better, straighten it out. Murphy takes a look, sees where everybody is. Oh, gets clipped a little bit by the boat, but right now not feeling anything other than the sweet feeling of victory. Waddy, he is doing well, but again, that inshore hole has wreaked havoc on our competitors all day long. They'll often sight the finish line rather than look down where their feet are going, but you can see how exhausted these guys are after 3 laps. It really is taxing, but well worth it when you win your first national championship.
Murphy and O'Donnell for LA, and what really was a 2-team race. Monmouth and LA went back and forth. LA finally got control of it. Murphy and O'Donnell to the finish line. George and Towns are 2nd. Nealon and Seth, also from LA County, 3rd. The team of Con and McKibben, 4th. And now we move to the women's surf boats and the first look at the dominating twins, Sherry and Shelley Griffith.
Well, in the H2O Velocity boat from Monmouth, that's Megan Harris and Kim Ferrara, and they're doing very well at this point to match the Griffith sisters, because you're right, they are ever so dominating. They have won this event year after year for almost half a decade, and you can see already the lead that they have. But look at this, a perfect shot of how in sync you have to be with your oars. That is how you move the boat well through difficult water. And this, it doesn't look that bad, this chop, but if they were off even by a millimeter, that would throw the boat one way or the other. You want to keep it planing as smooth as possible. That's how you keep your boat speed up. And right now, the Griffith sisters, Shelley and Sherry from Boca Raton, doing oh so well. And look at that, on the swell, coming in, a perfect ride, right oar simultaneously in sync. They spin it around, but at this point it is not going to matter, because the Griffiths, they are going to win it again, and they make it look oh so easy. Out of the bow, just jumps right out of the front of that boat, and you can see how deep it goes, from ankle deep water to almost over your waist instantaneously. And as lifeguards, really, that's what you have to watch out for when you're watching people in the water, when you're making rescues day in and day out. But a great job by the Griffiths right there to win yet again in the surf boat.
Not a big surprise. Sherry and Shelley Griffith from Boca Raton dominating as usual. The mirror images of one another, great technique. Griffith and Griffith, Boca Raton. Harris and Ferrara from Monmouth. From Fort Lauderdale, the Health McCready team, 3rd. From one grueling event to another, after a timeout, the International Ironman and Ironwoman. We come back to Pacific Beach.
2002.
Sven Peltonen from South Jersey, all fired up for the International Ironman, and this truly is just a grinder, a very tough event.
I love this course description. They start with a surf ski leg, then they go a swim leg, and they finish off with a paddleboard leg. Of course, Waddy run transitions in between each of those water legs, and then a final run to the finish.
4 disciplines, ranging from a 100-meter run all the way up to an 800-meter surf ski.
Well, the surf ski is that first leg, as we saw in the graphic. That's Rob Pelkey from LA out in front, but right behind him is training partner Mitch Kahn. No slouch. Kahn on the surf ski, a member of the 92 Olympic team in kayak. Anthony Vela on the light-colored ski. He now is up with your leaders. But again, the great thing about the Ironman race is those leads can change at any given time, because these disciplines are so different. Pelkey up first. He's a great surf skier, but not a great swimmer, so he'll go in the water in the lead, followed by Mitch Kahn, and there's Anthony Vela in 3rd. But you know who they have to watch out for? This man right here, Blaine Morgan. He is the best swimmer in the field. He's closely followed by Victor Fox, who's the defending national champion. But on this wave right here, Anthony Vela in the swim did a great job to catch the meteor section. But what you see is the true swimming prowess right now of Blaine Morgan. Look at that. He has swum through the field up to equal first with Anthony Vela. I'd give the nod to Vela of the 2 on the paddleboard, but look, we've seen this all day long, Jim. This inshore hole is just killing these competitors.
Now Blaine Morgan, who was 4th out of the water on the surf ski, now right up with the leaders. Blaine Morgan, the favorite here. Taking a look over the shoulder to see who's coming.
Well, there's Vela right there looking over his shoulder at Blaine Morgan. So Vela able to put a little gap. There's Pelkey coming in third. He is very well placed. But, you know, the waves haven't been very big here all day, but they're just big enough. Look at that. Pelkey drops off the back on the blue and yellow board. Vela and Morgan are able to come in on front. And look at this. These guys are best friends. They're looking, they're talking to each other. This is too great. They're probably saying, okay, what are we going to do now? We're going to leave it to a run up the beach. But, oh, Blaine Morgan, a little trick up his sleeve. That tricky little inside soupy section of the wave, he gets up in front. He's got better legs than Vela for this finish. This is huge. Blaine Morgan has been known as a swimmer in years past. Now he is winning the premier craft event, the International Ironman, and you can see it right here, Jim. He is ecstatic.
Blaine Morgan wins it. He comes through. His friend and teammate Anthony Vela is second, and Rob Pelkey will finish third. Blaine Morgan, an excellent transition off of the surf ski and hit the dead run as he came out of the water, went around the last flag, looked over his shoulder, and started to celebrate well before the finish line. LA County, 4 of the top 5 spots, led by Blaine Morgan, your International Ironman champ for 2002.
Okay, here with the winner of the Ironman, Blaine Morgan from LA County. You had a really close race there at the end against your teammate Anthony Vela.
You know, Anthony and I have been battling together all day and all summer, and it's just, we have a really good friendly rivalry, and it was a good race. I was stoked to beat him. I didn't think I was going to have the legs to beat him, but it's a fun race the whole way, so it was good.
How bad did you want this one?
You know, I'm really good in the swim events, and I've done well in the swim events in the past, and my craft events starting to come along, and this is really an event that I really wanted to win this summer. I think I got 9th last summer, so I wanted to come in and do well, and you know, I told Craig Hummer as the announcer that I was going to win last year in Miami, so it feels good to, you know, be true to my words.
The 2002 American Ironman. Back to you guys.
Blaine Morgan, a champ, and giving Craig Hummer a little love from down on the beach, huh?
Yeah, geez, they haven't forgotten about me, huh? That's pretty good. Well, the women will do the exact same thing now, Waddy, starting with surf ski, and look for 2 people in particular. Beth Ann Schwartz out on the ski. You see her right there in the blue and yellow dolphin ski. She's doing very well. You know, we've got a visiting international competitor, Fukiko Sato from Japan, who is also quite strong. And at this point, oh, on the white toes on the nose ski, you see her making that huge move on the swell. That is Maggie Hogan from San Diego. You know, she used to compete for Monmouth County, but now locally here in San Diego, and she just made a huge move on the rest of the field. Maggie Hogan, this is huge for her. I know I keep using that word, but it is fantastic to see her out in front, Jimmy, because on that white ski, she is not known for her surf skiing ability. She's great in swimming, running, and paddleboarding, and there you see swimming. She is out in front, and she's going to even catch this little runner. Perfect way to catch that inside wave that separates her a little bit more from Fukiko Sato of Japan. Now, Fukiko cannot medal here. She just comes sort of as a goodwill gesture to race against the Americans, but Maggie Hogan is dominating this field at this point. On her knees now, the more powerful stroke of the paddleboard that we talked about earlier, and as she gets first crack at these swells heading back into beach, you can see why, if you're up on your knees and you can really hunch over that paddleboard and catch those swells, she's able to put distance into the field.
Remember at the beginning of the show we talked about Maggie Hogan. We said she would be one of the featured athletes today. This is exactly why. Great athlete, and you can see right in her element now. In the new home waters of San Diego, as Craig mentioned, from Monmouth last year, now with her new team, new surroundings, and looking quite comfortable.
And what I love is look at the focus right there in her eyes. I mean, she is just committed right now to winning this race, and whenever you see that in any athlete's eyes, sure enough, she's starting to celebrate. She's got one final sprint, and I guarantee, I know from experience, you are not even feeling your legs right now. You are walking on air as you make this final run down the beach. She has got a national championship under her belt, and she has worked for years for this moment.
All the hometown crowd celebrating right along with Maggie Hogan, the transplant to San Diego, and a well-deserved hug at the finish. She is your International Iron Woman champion for 2002. Hogan with Beth Ann Schwartz from Delray and Amy Schwartz from Delray, obviously second and third. Bridget Rome is fourth. When we come back, it's time to pull your own weights and a teammates as well. The Landline is next up from the 2002 National Championships.
A lot of running in this hot sand. Each runner does 100 meters, transitions, these handoffs ever so important. And you see an early lead from the Hampton team. That's Bryn McGuire, Sarah Ferrione, and Rachel Ferrione, her sister, and Emily Ward. They will probably anchor with Rachel Ferrione, who won the flags earlier. But right next to them, the team from Sussex. A lot of power early on. You can see them really going after this. The final transition, Ferrione in the purple on the left-hand side of your screen, just dominating this field, Waddy, and she is going to bring it home for Hampton. They are going to win the national championship. Sussex not giving anything away, though, hanging on for second. Ferrione for Hampton wins it.
Ferrione from Hampton with a great anchor leg. That's why you run fourth, and gets a well-deserved hug from Emily Ward, her teammate, as Hampton in the red suits wins it. 4x1 Open Women's Division final, Hampton, Sussex, and then 2 combination teams, and Monmouth is 5th. We move on to the men's relay, 4x1, and it's not so much a competition because all the guys up front are going to know each other. In fact, they travel together.
Well, these East Coast teams are always so dominant. Sussex, you've also got Rehoboth, you've also got Monmouth County, but again, you see these transitions right there, perfect example, a loss of a baton, but Sussex just dominating at this point, out in front, great legs by their first couple teams. Sussex right now in first, second, and third. Look, though, for the team in the middle, right there, Derek Shockrow, great transition, he is out in front. He will hand off to Tim Green, who finished in second position in the beach flag, so you know you've got some speed on the relay right there. Shockrow still hanging on. A great job. Sussex now in first, second, and third. There's Green in the middle of your screen, and I tell you what, look at this. Who needs Maurice Green when you have Tim Green right here on the sand? He is flying.
Tim Green wins it easily. What an impressive anchor leg. When they got the batons, it was dead even, but by halfway through that anchor leg, watch this, watch the acceleration. Look, there are 4 teams right at the front, and look at Green leave everybody behind, just skipping across the sand.
A great shot by our blimp right there. Thanks to corporate helicopters in San Diego, that shot. What a run by Green.
Green with the vapor trail on the anchor leg, and Sussex takes the top 4 spots. That's the first top 4 sweep in the history of the event. On to the landline relay. This truly is a group effort.
Well, you mentioned the word truly because this is also a true lifeguard event. This is the old way you used to go after victims in the water. You would have a rescuer run out to the victim and then be pulled in. There you see Blaine Morgan from LA County. That line is attached to their rescue buoy. You can see the pullers are just feeding out the line. They've got the easy part at the beginning of the race. Those big fiberglass fins from H2O Velocity. All these competitors, if you are going to be on the podium at all, you need those fins. And you'll see Blaine Morgan along with Andreas Rostenberg, usually the 2 well-placed out in front. Rostenberg from Monmouth County, Morgan from LA County. There you see Jay Butke from LA feeding out that line. They are the defending champions, are LA County, but Monmouth would like nothing more than to win this race. But Blaine Morgan, you see him, he's already out in front, Tim. He is so dominant in these swims.
Blaine Morgan all the way out to the victim, who in this case is Emily DeShiel. Jay Butke and Mike O'Donnell, the other members of the LA County team from Monmouth. Mark Racciopi, Bill George, who was second in the Surfboats. The victim is Colleen Tesler, and the swimmer, as Craig just mentioned, was Rostenberg.
Well, this looks like controlled chaos, doesn't it, on the sand right now? It's hard to make out who is winning, those white caps or Monmouth, and there are your 2 teams. Monmouth on the lower portion of your screen. There you see one of the pullers from Monmouth, and that is really so difficult at this point. Your leg drive, you have to lean forward, keep that forward momentum going. There you see Mike O'Donnell from LA County pulling up, and you see at the bottom of your screen, Monmouth with a slight lead, but LA well-placed coming up very strong, and they have now moved into the lead, Jimmy. They have come up front. It is DeShiel and Morgan. You can see Blaine Morgan actually swimming. He can't even swim as fast as these pullers are pulling them into shore, but remember, he's got to get those fins off. In the meantime, the pullers will come down. All 3 of the members of the team, other than the victim, have to carry the victim. Look at that. You see Emily DeShiel extending herself almost in an iron cross right now. They will come and run up. They're bringing a little extra out of the water as LA with that seaweed behind them. But Monmouth, very close at this point. They've got a different style. They're going with the back style. But look at this, Morgan, they're looking over their shoulders. It's hard to tell from this angle, but geez, in that shot alone, they look to be going for it. But oh, Mike O'Donnell, he goes down, and then everybody follows suit like dominoes. This is going to be decided at the wire, Jim. I don't know who got this, Blaine Morgan saying, he's looking over going, no, we got it, man, it's ours. But the Monmouth crew celebrating now.
And Craig, it's not who crosses the line first, but the entire team has to cross the line.
That is a great point. It's when the fourth member of the team crosses the line. There is Mike O'Donnell, the man that stumbled, being congratulated by Jay Butke. And here they come out of the water, Waddy. A great shot. That's LA on the upper part of your screen, Monmouth County on the lower part. LA is clearly in the lead. If they hadn't fallen, they would have had this victory easily.
The legs collapse just, 5 meters from the finish. And again, it's the last guy has to clear the entire line. Immediately, they look over at Monmouth, and Monmouth wins it by less than a second. LA County is second, Fort Lauderdale, Sussex, and Boca Raton.
Okay, guys, that was probably one of the most exciting events we've seen today. Really close at the finish. Did you see them fall, and what went through your head?
Actually, I saw them running all the way up the beach, and what's not over till it's over. They fell right before the finish, and we just went right by them. It's great.
7/100ths of a second, they said the difference was. How nervous were you as you were waiting for the answer, or did you know?
No, well, I thought we had won, but I didn't know for sure, and I just believed we won and stayed with that, and yes, there was a lot of anxiety waiting for the answer.
All right, but you guys are the winners. Congratulations, they're going to come for you next year.
So close, it had to be decided by the judges. Rachiopi, George, Tesler, and Rostenberg. Monmouth, 2002 champs, were coming back.
Balance it for 3 to 4 foot surf. Not an easy thing to do. A great start by Patrick Hemmons right there in the dark blue ski in the middle of your screen, but by the end it would be Mitch Kahn. He was a member, as I said earlier, of the 92 Olympic kayak team, showing the similarities between kayaking and surf skiing. Believe it or not, Waddy, he has been around for over 3 decades, and if he holds on, this is going to be his 14th national championship, not overall, just in this event. And look at this, Mitch Kahn on a swell. You just keep getting luckier, don't you? Because right now, when you're out in front, everybody thinks it all goes your way, and it's done just that for Mitch Kahn right here. 42 years of age. He is going to win the surf ski competition yet again. And you say Mitch Kahn's name on the beaches of Southern California or anywhere in the world, you know who that is.
Mitch Kahn, as Greg said, the former Olympian, showing the difference between class and world class. LA, right from the top. Mitch Kahn, Rob Pelkey, Patrick Hemmons, Anthony Vela, and Blaine Morgan, 4 out of the top 5 LA County, all 5 guys from Southern California. Now we go back in the water, women's surf ski.
Maggie Hogan right there, closest to screen on the white toes on the nose ski. A little bit of a problem with her start right there, but she won the International Ironman earlier. She came good at the end of that ski leg, so we'll look for her at the end. Right now, Tatiana Valdez, the defending champion, though, out in front.
All right, as the women head out to sea, let's visit with Lindsay Soto, standing by with Mitch Kahn.
All right, Mitch Kahn, the winner of that event there. You are 42 years old, and I bet every year these guys think that this is the year that you're going to be a little bit too old and they're going to sneak up on you, but not this year.
It feels great. Last year was the first year in about 16, 17 years I hadn't won an open title, and I wanted to get one more, you know, and I got a good start today and got a couple good runs coming in, so I couldn't be more ecstatic.
Well, congratulations, Mitch.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy it.
All right.
Final moments now of the women's race. Heather Arusin from Delray and Tatiana Valdez from Miami.
Well, that's Tatiana out in front, but there is Heather Arusin coming in on that great swell. It doesn't take much for these surf skis to pick them up. Heather's got a much better rating and a much better line on the finish. You see Tatiana Valdez going off to the side a little bit, but it's going to be Heather Arusin, who won this back in 2000 here in San Diego, Jim. She wins another national championship on the ski in these waters.
That has just got to be a crusher for Valdez, who just got trapped inside, couldn't get enough momentum, and Heather Arusin from Delray got just enough to get across the line first. Valdez from Miami is second, Bridget Rome, LA County, then Beth Ann Schwartz, Delray, and there's Maggie Hogan again from San Diego picking up big points. Onto the rescue board, rescue.
This is a great event. It starts with the swimmer. As you see, the gun just goes off, the swimmer goes out to the flag, they'll dip the flag, which will turn their board paddlers and let them know that it's their turn. There you see Blaine Morgan. They are the defending national champions, are Blaine Morgan and Anthony Vela. And at this point, Morgan goes down right on that inshore hole. Again, our cameras caught that as it panned along. But you've got to have a great swimmer and a great board paddler. But then, this is where the real teamwork begins, because once the board paddler comes up, Waddy, they've got to come back as a team, both of them on the board at the same time.
So once they hit the flags, then the cue is on the beach, and here comes the paddlers.
You see Mike Larian from Jack's Beach who's heading out right now. He's very well placed with his partner Victor Fox of Hollywood, Florida. There is Anthony Vela from LA County. He's the second half of that defending champion team of Blaine Morgan, and he a little bit of junk on the inside to contend with, but do not count out that team in the middle. Right there, they are in the lead. Tom Swift and Sven Peltonen. They were at the World Championships held earlier this year in Daytona Beach, so they've had some practice this year. Morgan and Vela in third as they make that turn. The Monmouth team of Matt Nunley and Alex King right there in front. But oh, look at this. It is Swift and Peltonen on the inside, up and running. And again, we've seen this so often with the shallow bank. It turns into a run race at the end. Neither of them can drop the board. It doesn't matter right now. They are going to win this national championship. That is an upset right there. That is an upset.
Sven Peltonen and Tom Swift from South Jersey beating big names like Vela and Morgan, Nunley and King to win the Rescue Board Rescue. Lindsay Soto is standing by with your 2002 national champs from South Jersey.
Here are our winners from the Rescue Board Rescue Race. Don't even need to ask them any questions. They're a little excited. You guys have won this 3 times before, but for the past couple of years, you've been knocking on the door, couldn't get back in. I know you're real excited about this one.
Absolutely. Last year in Miami, we were 3rd place, and Anthony Vela and Blaine Morgan won it last year, and we know they'd be the tough guys this year, so we went for it, and we gave it everything we had when we won it.
Did you see the stumble, Morgan, in the beginning?
No, we just go straight for it. You know, we don't really try and look around at what anybody else is doing. And you know, Swifty had a great swim. It was a little bit shorter, and he's more of a sprinter, so it was to our advantage, I think.
All right, congratulations, guys.
Thank you very much.
Man, those guys got to loosen up. Sven Peltonen and Tom Swift from South Jersey. Next up, American Iron Man and Iron Woman.